I welcome again, welcome to Toronto School of Management's webinar. And my name is Yvonne. Today we have Ola again, the licensed immigration consultant. Thank you again for participating and tuning in. So today, Ola, you have disappeared. Okay, you're back. So we have seen a lot of good, pretty interesting news lately. I'm sure you're all really excited to hear about it. So good morning, Ola.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the introduction, Yvonne. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit of updates, what's happening in IRCC for the visa processing. And then if you have time, I'm going to provide you information on the new services that we are offering for Toronto School of Management students. And then at the end, if you have any questions or concerns, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. So there are a couple of important information updates on IRCC website. So I just want to inform you that the IRCC is not going to refuse your applications because of non-compliance. So if you don't provide 3 pieces of documents, which is medical or police certificate or even your biometric, IRCC is not going to refuse your application. Even if you miss some part of documents, they are going to update you on your MyCIC account. So they are going to request for additional and supporting documents. So it's not like this that they request for additional information and they are going to provide you 390 days to let you to provide the supporting documents. So not even one single application is going to be refused because of missing documents, which the 3 missing documents I already mentioned. So they will keep the applications open until they receive the documents and information they are required. And this is the reason that you have to regularly check your MyCIC account. Because of the worldwide situation, the visa offices and then the centers inside Canada, they are working, but many of the employees are working on remote distances, and then they are not working full time, so there might be a delay. So there is not such a thing as expedited processing for this study permit. So you have to be patient for the study permit application. So for the biometrics effective March 16 until further notice, biometric enrollment services has been suspended at Service Canada location and US. So if you are in Canada, you're not required to do the biometric even for your study permit extension. And then until the further notice, but you have to keep your biometric letter, and then because once the services are open, you have to provide and submit. You use this biometric letter once you're going to the VAX offices. So the good news is that the visa processing time is now in 2 stages: first stage approval and then second stage approval. The first stage approval, IRCC announced that, so they are going to review your application even before you submit your biometric, or even you submit your biometric if the VAC offices are open in your own country or your neighboring countries that you can travel, but you did not submit your police certificate or medical examination. So still your application is going to be processed, that's a very great news for bona fide and genuine students. And once you got the approval, the principal approval, the first stage approval, you're allowed to study online. So once you study online, they are going to review your second stage approval, which the second stage approval is mostly, according to the new updates, is based on eligibility and admissibility. So it's mostly based on if you're admissible to Canada, have you done any, they're going to do a criminal check. So it's kind of assurance that if you got the first stage of approval, and once you decided to study online and you're proving to IRCC that you're a bona fide student, most probably you'll get the approval for second stage. But Immigration Canada give this right to themselves that they might going to refuse your application for the second stage approval. And even if you got the second stage approval, you cannot enter Canada before providing your medical check, police certificate, and also the biometric. So there are some couple of hints here for the two-stage approval. So you have to submit your new study permit application online. So there is no paper application at the moment. Before September 15, 2020, before 15th of September, you have to submit your application. And your program should start for October or earlier. So you have to check with your advisor when your program will start. So this is the best time to submit your application. This is my opinion, that this is the best time to submit your application, because it will be 2 stages of approval. And even for the countries with a high risk of visa, as you're going to study online for the first or second term, there is a high chance of receiving visa. So, but I hope there is no misunderstanding, because you have to submit all the documents required. The only exception is the biometric, police certificate, and medical. So once you receive the first approval stage, you will receive an update on your my CIC account. On the My CIC account, you will receive an update that you are approved for the first stage of approval. So mostly the first stage of approval is based on the funds that you have available and the DLI that you selected. So Toronto School of Management has a DLI number, and the relationship between your previous career background, educational background, and then the reason that you select the specific program at Toronto School of Management. But you have to make sure to understand that there is no guarantee that the study permit application will be approved. But as IRCC clearly mentioned that the second stage approval is based on admissibility and criminal check and eligibility. So this is my understanding, that majority of the students who have the sufficient funds and they have the good reason, a strong reason for why selecting the TESOL, and they're proving that they are bona fide student and they started their application, they started their studying online, they will receive the visa. So this information, I thought that's very important, that you have to take in consideration. So many of you have submitted your application, but it's less than 150 days. Okay, so if it's less than 150 days, the visa officer should continue processing your study permit application. But if you submit your application and it's more than 150 days, it's passed from the date that you submit your application, you have to ask for a deferral letter of admission, LOA, from your DLI, which is TSOM. And then I recommend that you submit the new deferral letter of acceptance by web form to IRCC. But overall, this is officer responsibility to send a request to your My CIC account to inform you and request for a deferral LOA, but sometimes they are busy and they forgot. I saw a rejection letter based on this. So make sure that if you submit your application, it passed more than 150 days, make sure to ask for a new LOA and then create a web form and submit your application. So requests for additional documents on an open application. Until further notice, as I mentioned, applications will not be refused failure to submit a new information or document. So they will give you 390 days. The first 90 days, they will provide you a request on your MyCIC account, and then the application, the student is required to submit the requested information on documents. And if you did not provide it in the 90 days, the officer is going to allow you an additional 90 days to the applicant to provide the required documents, and then there will be a third 90 days. So in this situation, as we can see, they are not going to refuse your application based on the missing document, but there are some important and then mandatory documents that you have to submit while you're submitting your study permit application, which is very important. So if you miss your identification, document, if you miss your letter of acceptance, or if you miss your bank statement, so they are not going to review your documents. Mostly these process is implemented because of the situation worldwide, and the students cannot get the police certificate, or medical centers are closed in their students' home countries, and this is the reason behind it. So according to the IRCC updates, if you are from a SDS country, so if you are eligible for the SDS process, student direct stream line, so it is recommended that you provide you apply through the SDS. So in order to find out which countries are from SDS, there is a video over here that I'm going to share it with you.
Is the student direct stream, which is exclusive to only 7 countries for now. Those countries are China, India, Morocco, Pakistan, Philippines, Senegal, and Vietnam. The main purpose of this stream is to speed up the visa application process for those who meet the entry requirements mandated by Immigration Canada.
So if you are from these 7 countries, and then you have IELTS 6 overall academic, is recommended that you apply through SDS. This is the new recommendation of SDS. And also, I'm going to play one video for the financial supporter, because I'm receiving many requests and then emails and phone calls for who can be the financial supporter. So I'm going to share it with you over here. It might be useful for you.
Financial supporters continued. Financial supporters generally need to provide the following 6 variations of supporting documents. 1. A letter of commitment for financial support notarized. 2. A 3-month salary payslip. 3. Proof of employment. 4. Bank statements and bank fund certificates. 5. If the supporter is living in Canada, a T4 tax form is also required. 6. Notarization of birth certificates or other documentation that can prove kinship.
So if you have a financial supporter inside Canada or US or any other countries, it's a good point that you add this information as a part of your study permit application, so you can prove to the immigration officer that on top of the funds that you are available in your home country and your parents' bank accounts, you have a financial supported in US or Canada or Australia, and then these are the 6 number of documents that they can provide. For example, they have to provide a notarized letter that they're going to financially support you, and also if they are close relatives, they have to provide a birth certificate. If they are working somewhere, they have to provide the employment letter, or if they are have their own business, they have to provide their business licenses. So these information are important. Also, we are providing a free service to the students of Toronto School of Management. This is a separate entity from Toronto School of Management, but it's exclusively working for Toronto School of Management, and they are giving you 7 to 8 hours online training. It's a free training for you guys, for whoever who pay the deposit online. We are going to give them access of for 10 days. So you're going to watch these kind of videos. By watching these videos, I'm very confident that the students can submit their application by their own. And then we have lots of examples, PDFs, videos, how to submit your application online. And then we also have the simulation as well. By simulation, for example, you have to fill out a different kind of applications forms. For a single student, you have to fill study permit application form, family information form, and then schedule form. This is a very unique service that we are offering to you. So this is one of the simulations. I'm going to share it with you. This is the study permit application form. So in this form, you can practice in this virtual settings even before going to submit, fill the your actual form. And there are lots of tips over here. Even before filling out the form, you will read the tips, and you will understand what information is very important and required, and then you can practice here. Also, I will show you another video training. So in this situation, I think communication with IRCC is very important. And then here is some examples and to when to apply and how to apply for a web form to IRCC. So it seems that I have okay, it's coming.
The IRCC web form. Use the IRCC web form if you have submitted an application or account and your application has exceeded the normal processing times. The IRCC will not respond to your inquiry if the application is within normal processing times. If you wish to report important changes, such as a change in contact information, births, deaths, marriages, divorces, adoptions, changes in employment, a withdrawal of an application, a refund request, or urgent requests, you can do so in this form. If you are reporting a change in contact information, it will take 5 business days for it to be updated. During this time, you should continue to monitor your old contact information. If you wish to add, change, or cancel a representative, and you are ready to upload your use of representative form, or you authorize the IRCC to release information from your case file, and you are ready to upload your authority to release personal information to a designated individual form, use this website. If you wish to report a technical issue with IRCC online services, please select technical difficulty as your application inquiry type and ensure that you provide the type of application, work permit, study permit, or visitor record in the Your Inquiry field, the approximate date that the application was submitted, if applicable, in the Your Inquiry field, the complete address, including the postal code, in the Your Inquiry field. If the residential address is different from the mailing address, please provide both addresses. Your unique client identifier, UCI number, client ID number, if you have one, should also be included. Your online application reference number, if you have one, and your telephone number. If you have more than one contact number, please provide them all. Screenshots, if possible. How to check the institution has a DLI and is eligible for post-graduation work permit. A designated learning institution. To apply for a study permit on or after June 1st, 2014, you will need a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution. You will need to include the designated learning institution number, DLI, which is the number that begins with a letter O, on your study permit application form.
Okay, so these are very unique trainings that will help you from everything from A to Z, how to submit your application, how to reduce your document size, how to upload your documents, and how to fill out your forms, what kind of documents are mandatory for financial, as a part of financial documents, what kind of documents are non-financial documents, and when you have to apply, how to check the processing time. There are many refusal notes over here, how you can apply for GCMS notes, and then once the student got refusal, I bring 5-6 samples of the refusals that the students got refused based on this reason, so you can have a better understanding what are the reasons of rejection, and you can improve your package before submitting your application. So Ivan, my presentation is mostly over because I want to talk about the updates mostly today. So if you are fine, I'm ready to answer the questions.
Oh, okay. Well, excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay. So yeah, we have a couple questions. Let me just pull it actually. So one of the questions that people are interested is what is the biometric the biometric issue? Would you be able to clarify again if the embassy or if you know, the place where you do the biometric is not open yet? What should you do in that case?
So if the biometric centers are not open, this is completely fine. Just submit your application as complete as it can be and submit your complete application, and then your application is going to be processed and they are going to review your application for the first stage approval. The first stage approval is mostly based on the fund availability of the funds and the DLI that you select, and the relationship between the program that you selected and the reason that you're studying and coming to Canada. So it's completely fine. You don't need to do the biometric. But if the biometric centers are open, yeah, it's better that you submit do the biometrics, but do not lost the biometric letter. You have to keep it with you, because once it's open, even if you get the first stage approval, before receiving the second stage approval, before entering Canada, you have to do the biometric.
Okay, so you can only like in order to, so after, let's say after the lockdown is lifted, you would still have to go back to do the biometric for the second stage approval in order to formally enter Canada. Is that correct?
Very good. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So just keep an eye on the hours or on the operation of the biometric center where you are located at, and continue to enter for the first stage of visa application process. And after that, just wait for the update on the biometric center, continue to follow up with it. And once that's open, then you will do the second stage. So you do have to complete both stages in order to enter Canada. Okay, that's excellent. So another question that people are asking is, what is the update? So that's related to a lot, probably what you wanted to talk about. What is the current status in Canada? How are things? When do people expect to go back and things like that? So this might be a little bit of like, I mean, for now, I guess we have some good news for sure. And it's definitely exciting that there is definitely an opportunity to go back. I think the news was that for September, we do have a chance to actually, a lot of schools will be actually open fully. What is your opinion? What do you know so far?
Yeah, I think you can answer this question better, but regarding immigration wise, I think the Canada is controlling the situation, and we are in stage 3 on Ontario, which is amazing news. So people are going to the work, and then most of the colleges are having the physical classes, but the problem is with the borders. So this is a very good question actually. If according to the latest announcement of IRCC, if you received your visa or study permit before 18th of March, you can travel, but it is the subjective decision of the CBSA officer at the border as well. So even if you receive your visa before 18th of March, you have to check with your airline and the CBSA officer. I recommend that the students call the CBSA borders and then check with the airline, and then TSOM definitely is going to provide you a letter that the classes will be even physical classes or like a traditional classes or blended classes. So you can use this letter to provide to CBSA officer, but they have to, the CBSA officer should be convinced that the classes that you're taking in Canada, they have laboratory, they have workshop, so it's mandatory. It's necessary for the student to travel to travel to Canada to be inside Canada. But this is a very good opportunity for the students who are really genuine students, and the real intention of the students is come and study with TSOM. They don't have any other plans. They are really wants to come and study with TSOM. That's why they have 2 stages approval, because once you got your first stage approval, you're eligible to study your program online, this is an amazing news, because most probably by January these restrictions and the lockdown will be lifted and the students can travel. But once the students study 3 months in their home country, I'm sure it definitely have an impact on the mind of the visa officer that these students are genuine students, and then because he or she studied 3 months online, so there is a higher chance of providing the second stage approval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I think that's definitely very excellent news. So yeah, just to answer your question regarding the classes, so in Ontario, so we are located in Ontario, Canada. So Ontario is a province in Canada, and in Ontario we do have very good news. It's stage 3, which means that a lot of business you are going to be allowed for a little bit of a gathering, and also going back to the office or going back to school. Schools will be open. The physical classes will be open. So that means that there is a chance that we can all go back to campus. Of course, it also, I believe that the schools also need to comply with certain health and sanitary social distancing, or having a mask, things like that. So those policies and things have to be in place. So it's definitely, I would imagine it's definitely also in stage. So definitely do be optimistic, but at the same time, just make sure that you're also aware that this is probably going to take time, and it's going to be in stage, but continue with your study, whether it's online, in your own time. It's definitely still good to utilize the time you have at home and continue your study. Another question that we get is that, so that, I think that answer Roger's question. I hope that answers your question. Any updates on the classes? So I hope that answers your question. So another question that we had, actually this one is for Ola. So a student has, he's an ACCA student, or he's been studying ACCA on his own, and he has actually in the past passed 5 ACCA exams, but since 2016, he has not been doing the exams. So he's kind of stopped writing the exam. So he passed 5 before 2016, but since 2016 to now, it's been 3-4 years. He hasn't written any exams. Would this be considered a study gap in the visa application?
Yes, that will be considered a study gap, but you have to explain to the visa officer, to IRCC, that what was the reason of this gap, because I'm sure if you did not, study the ACCA preparation, you must have done something else. Perhaps you were a student in a university, or you were working part-time, full-time. So yeah, that would be a study gap, and then you have to provide explanation in your resumes and then the supporting documents as well.
Okay. And the other question would be, so does TSUM continue to provide online classes? So I'm assuming that your question is, does TSUM continue to provide online classes after we enter stage 3, after we started going back to campus? So currently, I don't think we have a very firm decision whether it's going to be 100% online or it's going to be 100% in person. But there has been a lot of speculation on whether in the education industry, whether it's going to be a blended of online and in person. So maybe you would have some days that you would go to classes in person, and some days you could just complete your assignments, complete your classes online. So it also has to do with some of the social, could be the social distancing, some of the precautionary policies that we have to comply to in place. So the TSUM school, the campus it's a small building. So I believe that we will have to, everyone will probably have to accommodate and kind of have some kind of either blended classes, or some classes you will be in person. So that might be a little bit of that might still be in this discussion with the school management. So but keep following up, and then we'll keep you updated on that. And so the next question is, do you have any, so yeah, so as far as the estimate date to study on site, so I think September, we're thinking that, so we might be able to go back to school. Or I know that there are some other schools, I'm not sure about some colleges, but there are some other elementary schools or middle schools that might be able to go back in September, or they have decided that they are planning to go back in September. So for colleges and universities, because these are more older populations and adults, and some of the classes are large, really large sizes. So I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be fully 100% in person, but there is a possibility that you might have to go to some classes in person. And another question is, if my visa is approved, and supposing that I can travel to Canada in December, will I be able to study? I guess the question is, so if my visa is approved and I have to go to Canada, does that mean I can no longer study online? So Toronto School of Management is essentially, it's a traditional college. So we provide our classes in person. So it really, as I mentioned before, this really also depends on, how healthy or how safe our environment has become. So I believe that Canada is considered pretty safe. But of course, with the pandemic, I think over the last few months, we all realized that things can change. It fluctuates sometimes. So there is definitely keep an option to participate in your classes in person, but at the same time, also keep in mind that you might have to take some classes online. But having said that, we are a traditional school, so we're not an online school. We're actually an in-person traditional school. So we do offer, our primary goal is to offer this classes in person. Just see. Okay, so here is a question. Okay, am I eligible for SDS if I'm a Pakistani citizen, but I'm currently living in New Zealand?
No, the answer is no. You have to live in Pakistan once you're applying for SDS. There are a couple of requirements. First, you have to be one of those 7 countries, and then you have to have IELTS 6. Some people are asking, I can see in the chat box that I have PT 75. It's not acceptable. You have to have IELTS Academic or General 6, and then you have to have a GIC account of $10,000. You have to open a GIC account with one of the approved bank with Canada. Yeah, you are not eligible to apply for SDS if you're in New Zealand. Even many people are asking about proof of funds. If you don't mind, I will play this video which is answering the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So these charts, guys, are from IRCC website and is going to give you information exactly how much funds you have to have available.
Proof of income is one of the most important parts of your Canadian visa application. The Canadian Immigration Department wants to make sure that you have sufficient funds to stay in the country and that you will not attempt to work illegally in the country, rely on your part-time job, or even your spouse's potential full-time job. If he or she is granted a full-time job, you will need to prove that you have sufficient financial resources to pay for the first year of tuition and living, and show how you are going to pay for the second year. This is if your course is more than 1 year in duration. Minimum funds needed to support yourself as a student and family members who come with you is shown in the chart below. It is relevant for all provinces except Quebec. If the duration of your studies in Canada will be less than 1 year, proof of financial support for the duration of your studies in months in Canada should be shown and submitted. If the duration of your studies in Canada will be more than 1 year, proof of financial supports for the first year of studies in Canada should be shown and submitted. The left column calculates the number of funds in units of years. This is to be used if your studies will last a duration of more than 1 year. Keeping at least 10,000 Canadian dollars as living expenses in all provinces except Quebec is essential. For each additional adult family member who accompanies you, you add another 4,000 Canadian dollars on top of the minimum 10,000 Canadian dollars. And if there are any children accompanying you, 3,000 Canadian dollars per child needs to be added. The right column calculates the number of funds on a monthly basis. Some majors and courses may be able to allow you to graduate or complete the course in as short as 8 months, so there is no need to prepare expenses according to 1 year. Applicants are required to prepare a monthly living cost of 833 Canadian dollars, with family members requiring a minimum of 333 Canadian dollars, and children requiring only 255 Canadian dollars per month. As an example, if you are a married student with a spouse applying for a 2-year MBA program outside of Quebec with a total tuition for 2 years of 35,000 Canadian dollars, you must calculate your first year tuition fee being around 18,000 Canadian dollars. And that way, your living expenses should be a minimum of 10,000 Canadian dollars for one student, and your expenses for your spouse on top of that 10,000 Canadian dollars should be 4,000 Canadian dollars. The total amount needed, therefore, is 22,000 Canadian dollars. This data is taken from the official website of the Immigration Canada. Interested students can follow the link at the bottom of this page to go to the official website for more information. This chart shows the minimum funds, and you should always aim to have more. It is important to remember, though, that you cannot be a simple employee in your country and show $400,000 in your bank account. This will raise red flags with the visa officer. Your bank statement should reflect your career and family circumstances accurately.
So this was a very complete information. I hope answer all of the questions regarding the minimum funds if you're applying with your spouse, if your course is in less than 1 year. So all the information was here. I hope it was clear to everybody.
Yeah, I think it was a really good video, very informative, and people can go back to watch that again. What's the website address again? Can you show that to everyone, just so that
it's rules, but they have to have an access, so they have to ask their advisors that they have to ask their advisor to provide the information, and they have to upload the letter of acceptance over there, and we are going to give them a 10 days access to watch these videos.
Okay. And are they able to download the videos to save them if they want to watch them again, or they just have to watch all the videos within 10 days?
Online, and they cannot share it with anybody, right? It's for themselves as well.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So you do have 10 days to watch the video.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see any other questions that you wanted to address specifically?
Someone is asking that I have IELTS 7.5 general. I think Rahul is asking that, is it acceptable with IRCC? You know, usually for academic purposes, immigration is looking at academic IELTS, not general IELTS. But your score is really good. 7.5 is really good. So you can provide this, but for the STS and is not going to impact you. But if it was me, I would take another IELTS indicator academic or Duolingo test, which is more for academic. General is mostly based for what do you say, skilled worker and in immigration is not for the academic purposes. But your score is really good.
Okay. That's good. refusals, visa refusals. This question, I think we have kind of addressed it before. Maybe in some of our previous webinars as well. What are your, do you want to just kind of quickly go through, elaborate a little bit about visa refusals?
So yeah, refusals are common. It's not about Toronto School of Management, or it's not about personal you. Many people in Canada are receiving refusal, but it's not the end of the world. You just have to find out the reason that behind it and then reapply again. And I think it's a good chance for the students who got the refusals, and then they are going to submit their application again based on a better availability of fund and based on a better study plan. Because of these two-stage approval, this is my personal understanding that IRCC might provide them an opportunity to study online. So because one of the main reasons that they are refusing students, they think that they are not a genuine student. They are coming here to apply for example for a refugee, or they are the ties that they have in their home country has a less value that the benefits they are receiving for Canada. But once they are studying online, they are proving to immigration officer that the real intention of coming to Canada is to study. So even if you're rejected, I recommend that you submit your application. You get the letter of acceptance of TSOM for September intake, provide the very complete application package and submit your application before September 15th.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So there's always a lot of, in terms of timeline, there's always a lot of questions about when should I start applying? When should I start applying for admission, for example? So this question I think I'll address. If you want, let's say if you are considering coming to study in March next year, when should you start applying, getting in touch with the student advisor? And the answer is always, start as soon as possible. There's no cost involved with talking to a student advisor. So yeah, definitely get in touch with start the conversation as soon as possible, so that if you have any questions, there might be additional questions that come up. Sometimes there's a lot of unexpected things that you didn't expect that's going to be a concern or be an issue, things like that. If you start the conversation early, start the preparation process early, you will always have more time to address those things. So in terms of admission, I definitely suggest that you start the admission process, as soon as you have something in mind. Definitely, as soon as you have that, idea, that plan in mind that you want to study for sure, you want to study next year, you want to start your intake in March or in May, definitely start the application process as soon as possible. The only thing is that you would have to be 18 years old in order to enroll. So definitely if you are under 18 years old, you might want to bring that up with your student advisor. When are you going to turn 18 years old? And at the time, then you can start applying. So if you're not 18 years old yet, then you could start a conversation but not apply yet. But if you are 18 years old already, then there is no limit on how early you should start the application process. In terms of the visa, what would the timelines be? When do you suggest that people should start applying for visa?
For the visa, right?
Yeah.
So I will play a 2-minute video for the processing time.
You make sure that you check the processing time on a regular basis as they keep changing. Make sure to apply with plenty of time, taking into consideration the visa processing times of individual countries. And don't apply too close to your start date. Below you can find the link. I will check the processing time now of Indian students residing in India and applying for a study permit. I'll scroll down to the bottom of the screen and make my selection. As I'm applying for a study permit, it's under the temporary residence category. I will click it. Which temporary residence application? I am going to apply for a study permit from outside of Canada as I reside in India. I will choose India in the scroll down menu. And I will click Get Processing Time. Here it tells me that the processing time for my visa will be 12 weeks. Again, check this regularly as times are subject to change.
So as you can see, the times are subject to change, and then there is a delay in the current situation. So if you are from India and then you are applying from Toronto School of Management, you have to give it minimum 4 months, right? So you have to regularly check the processing time and then apply even 1 month before the processing time, right? It's very important. So if you just earlier asked me a question that the student is from Pakistan but living in New Zealand. So they have to check the New Zealand, not Pakistan. So maybe if you apply in Pakistan, it's 4 weeks, but if in New Zealand, it will be 12 weeks. So, and then you have to plan accordingly.
Okay, sounds good. So definitely still give it plenty of time. Start collecting your documents, make sure that you have your documents ready for submission. So that's and in order to get all the documents, you do have to spend a good amount of time working on them, working on documents. Don't just rush through it, but actually be very rigorously to complete everything that you need to complete, and so that you can present the best of yourselves to the immigration officer. So I saw a question about somebody asked, I read something concerning receiving lectures in TSUM prior to visa approval. So how true is this? This is not true. So you do, in order to become a TSUM student, in order to attend the lectures regularly, receive all the class materials, start doing the assignments, you do have to become a TSUM student. And in order to become a TSUM student, you do have to, go through all stages of the process. So that means applying, making a deposit, getting the visa approved to enroll. So once you complete the entire process, you're actually enrolled at Toronto School of Management, then you are considered a TSUM student, where you get a student ID, you will get a orientation. We had our virtual orientation for July and May, so hopefully September it'll be an in-person or a blended, both in-person and virtual orientation. So you do have to go through all of that process in order to become a TSUM student and to actually attend the lectures regularly. So to answer Abdul's question, it's not true. Any other questions that you can see that you should address specifically? And just don't forget that I've sent out a link for you to make an appointment, a one-on-one appointment. It's 15-minute one-on-one appointment with Allah and it's free. It's on the website, so you can just go ahead and make an appointment with Allah. He is really busy, but there are, I believe last time I checked, there were some spots available in September. So definitely make an appointment so that you can discuss your personal, if you want to discuss a specific case, definitely make an appointment with him.
Yeah, so you answered the questions. Okay.
Is that all the questions that we address today, Ala? Do you have any other questions that you see that you want to address?
There is a question they ask, Fofana asks, when do you think that the new applicant will be able to travel to Canada if they get the student visa? My personal understanding is from January the students can travel to Canada, not for September intake. But we don't know really, there is no new announcement. We have to wait for the update from IRCC.
Okay, so the borders, I think, so far the travel ban is still in place, so the borders are still closed, and we really don't know that for sure. And I think it might also, you're right, I think it might also depend on the international circumstances. So right now within Canada, it's doing relatively well, but we do realize that internationally there are certain either different circumstances with different countries. So that actually depends on government's policy as well. So we aren't able to guarantee. But if you do get your visa approved for September, then you would be able to start enrolling online though. So if you do actually become a TSAM student, you can still enroll online in your home country and then actually travel once the travel ban is completely lifted and the airlines start flying. Because I believe that a lot of airlines now are actually, they either reduce their flights or they're just not flying as much anymore because there's not a lot of demand.
There's a question here. They said, I'm a student from Iran. I have a biometric. So do I register now or wait till the embassy open? So yeah, I highly recommend Heyam that you submit your application without doing the biometrics. And then hopefully you will receive, if you have the enough available funds and you have the reason that why you select Toronto School of Management, you will receive the first stage approval. And this is a very good opportunity for the students from high-risk countries because you have to study online and then you have to spend, right? TSAM will deduct the amounts that you're studying online from the deposit you have paid, which is a good sign because you're proving to Immigration Canada that you don't have any other intention of coming to Canada. Your real intention is to study and upgrade your degree.
So there's a question about the length of the time that immigration officers usually grant the student to stay in Canada if they're a TSAM student. So what's the length? Is it similar? Would it be exactly the same as the length of their program?
Yeah, most probably yes, it will be this. The study permit usually is the same length of the program, but sometimes it depends on the passport as well. So if your passport is going to be expired on 8 months, the student visa that you're receiving is only for 8 months. But usually the study permit which is going to be issued on the border in the hand of CBSA officer is going to be the same amount as your study program.
Yeah, so that totally makes sense. And I saw that there was one question about what if you have a co-op? Obviously, a majority of our programs include a co-op, so where you have to actually get practical experience. So if you are enrolled online first because of travel ban, obviously you would probably wait until you enter Canada in order to do the co-op. But I don't think let's say if you have enrolled in July, so you might still have a few months until you finish the academic, a few weeks until you finish the academic portion of your program. So you do have to finish your academic portion and then go into co-op. Okay. And yeah, so that's just to answer your question about co-op. And I believe that if you're in Canada and if you are in touch with a company that you are going to be doing the co-op with, usually, it'll depend on each company's policy. Are they working from home or are they actually going to the office? It'll depend on each individual companies. So I think that's pretty much all the time we have today. Is there anything last minute thing that you want to tell everybody, Ala?
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to update them with the website link and which email they can send their new requests of the questions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we do host this type of webinar on a regular basis. So it's usually every month on the Friday, the last Friday of every month. So definitely keep an eye on the webinars, get in touch with your student advisor, follow up with them, what the next registration date for the webinar, for the next webinar is, so that you can attend the next webinar if you would like. And you should also get a recording if you missed any portion during today's webinar. And thank you again for participating and for all of your engagement. And yeah, we wish you the best of luck and have a great rest of the day and the weekend. All right, thank you for thank you, Allah.
Thank you everybody for joining. Bye bye.
Bye.